You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Road Rants for Black and White Live. We're going to talk about Tim Tebow because an update has come out regarding how Tebow is doing in training camp and the fact that Tim Tebow might have a shot to make the final roster. That's right. The fact is, Tebow is performing right now. Now, of course, he's had a lot of critics out there. Chris Sims, Pete Presco of CBS Sports. A lot of people have been on Tim Tebow. Even going so far as to say, well, Tebow's got another chance because of white privilege. We all know how idiotic that crap is. Well, here we go. This is from Bleacher Report, and it's got further down in the story, which I'm going to read the whole thing, mainly to give you context if you have not been keeping up with Tebow with us on the channel, or if you're new to the channel or whatever, make sure you hit subscribe here, and also our main channel, Black and White Sports. Well, it'll give you some context, and then we'll get down to a report from ESPN, which is kind of interesting with how Tebow is faring right now. Tim Tebow will make his critics eat their words after final roster cuts. Tebow mania has some life in Jacksonville. When the Jaguars signed Tim Tebow to a one-year contract, overwhelming majority gave him no shot to make the 53-man roster. He hasn't played a regular season game since 2012. On top of that, the former quarterback will convert to a new position at tight end at age 34. In Tebow's last performance on the NFL field, he completed 11 of 17 for 189, 2 touchdowns and an interception in Week 4 of 2015 preseason. 2 days later, the Philadelphia Eagles cut him. In August 2016, Tebow went public with his intentions to play baseball. He spent most of his time with the Mets in the minor league system. February 2021, he announced his retirement. By the way, it has always been my feeling that Tebow knew he was coming back to the NFL when he decided to do that. Tebow's football journey came full circle when he inked a deal with the Jaguars, reuniting with head coach Urban Meyer. Together in Florida, they, of course, won 2 BCS championships. Critics who connected the dots between player and coach argued Tebow's return robbed someone more deserving of a spot on the 90-man off-season roster. Jacksonville's transaction drew widespread criticism, but Meyer may have had an intriguing plan for his polarizing acquisition. This is where it gets to something we have talked about. It is the Taysom Hill role, or a sort of Swiss Army knife role for Tebow. The fact is, I think if Tebow makes this roster, he will partially do so as more of an H-back, even a fullback, okay? Goal line situations. ESPN's Diana Rossini reported some people around the league believe the Jaguars will use him in a Taysom Hill-like role, which means he could throw, run the ball in short yardage situations, and catch some passes. He logged 1,047 passing yards, 4 TDs, 3 interceptions, and 1,145 rushing yards, and 18 touchdowns from scrimmage in 4 seasons. Tebow is 3 years older than Hill and has to knock years of rust off learning a new position. We also, look, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't step out there and say Tim Tebow is slower than Taysom Hill. Point blank, he is slower, okay? In his first week of training camp, Tebow had a highlight touchdown reception, even looked the part of tight end with a bulked-up frame. However, as expected, Tebow has to learn a lot and put into practice. CBS Sports' Pete Prisco noted the 33-year-old's unwillingness to take blocks and ranked him as the 6th best tight end on the roster. That's awfully odd because I have not heard that as of yet. Meyer had an honest assessment when he talked about Tebow catching the ball too much into his body instead of using his hands, which, of course, it can be a detriment on the field. Now, let's jump down to this because this is where the most interesting part comes in. Although it doesn't always look fluid or natural, Tebow has flashed in camp. As a bold prediction, ESPN's Michael DeRucco made a case that converted tight end could secure a roster spot. Tebow had the second most catches of any tight end in 707 and 1111 during the first 4 days of camp. His 7 receptions trailed only Ben Eflinson at 9. Now, there's a couple of caveats to that. James O'Shaughnessy missed time with an ankle injury, and the defense was not allowed to play press coverage or go after throws. Still, the 33-year-old who played in his last regular season game in 2012 hasn't had a drop, so he's sure-handed, and it shows that he has a grasp of the offense. He just needs to hold his own as a blocker once the pads go on, and he'll make the 53-man roster. While premier tight ends can catch and block, teams carve out roles for specialists who excel in only one of those areas. If Tebow uses his hands more in his body to catch the football, he could become a threat on obvious passing downs or in the red zone. Jaguars offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer believes Tebow's experience at quarterback allows him to see plays develop in the passing game. And it does talk about Florio here, saying, I guess this was a report, quote, "You see the football mind. You can see how he sees the game from the quarterback's point of view. There was a couple of plays days ago in the red zone where he thought C.J. Beathard, that is, broke out and scrambled left, and the first guy that he saw was Tim Tebow. He threw him a touchdown pass. Why is that? Well, he played the position. He stood back there and saw, oh, well, he's moving in this direction. I have to go with him. It is going to be fun to watch him compete in preseason." So, there are two tight ends on the roster, Chris Manhertz and O'Shaughnessy, with more experience. But when we say more experience, neither has caught 30 passes in a single season. And the other two, well, 8 games and 7 games respectively, and they also drafted Luke Farrell, who didn't have more than 20 receptions at Ohio State. If Meyer and Schottenheimer want to turn Tim Tebow into Taysom Hill 2.0, the Jaguars can hand him the ball inside the 10-yard line. In 2 seasons with the Broncos, 887 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, Tebow would look like a fullback mowing over defenders. Yeah, Tebow looks huge right now. So, that's what we're talking about. And we talked about the fact that if he makes the roster, it's likely going to be in that H-back, fullback, tight end role, jack of all trades. Look, I could see him getting 20 carries this season and 12 catches and 4 touchdowns because they gave him the ball inside the 10 and let him run it in. Okay? And also, don't lose sight of the fact, and we've talked about this before, he knows Meyer's offense because he played at quarterback in the offense, and he's also going to be a mentor to Trevor Lawrence, and he brings that strong personality, that winning personality, that Charlie Hustle personality to the locker room, and I think that's important. I think Urban Meyer wants to instill a certain kind of culture in the locker room. So, do I think he makes the team? I still think it's a long shot. However, could I see him staying on in some kind of an offensive role, assistant, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I could absolutely see that transition happen. I cannot wait for preseason games right now. I can't wait. Can't wait to see Lawrence play quarterback, Tebow play, and, of course, tomorrow night, Mac Jones play for the Patriots. Peace. I'm out.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.